again, everyone. Welcome to Cotton Grower Magazine's Cotton Companion Podcast. I certainly hope everyone's completed or is at least in the final stages of wrapping up harvest for 2021. The last USDA report back on November 29 showed that 85% of all U.S. cotton had been harvested at that point, and I'm sure most of that remaining 15% is either at or heading to the gin right now. It's been a long, wonderful, and unusual year for cotton, and now it's time to start finalizing plans for next season, and we're going to try to help you out on that a little bit in this episode. I'm Jim Steadman, Senior Editor of Cotton Grower, and I'm flying solo for this episode. Time will tell if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but either way, we've got quite a bit to cover today. There has been a lot of recent discussion about product shortages, about potentially increased input prices, and other factors that may end up impacting plans and acreage for 2022. And to help sort through some of those topics and rumors will be my colleague Jackie Pucci, who follows and covers the ag chem market closely for Cotton Grower's sister publications, Agribusiness Global, Crop Life, and Ag Professional. She'll be joining me shortly in the virtual studio to share and discuss some of the things that we're hearing from the market heading into 2022. So be sure to stay tuned for that discussion. But first, let's take a look at some of the latest news items from the cotton industry. And it's been kind of a busy week in terms of news. Seed companies are wrapping up their 2021 evaluation programs, and some of them are already making new variety announcements for the coming year. Following completion of the 14th season of its NPE program, Delta Pine is launching its class of 22 with two new cotton varieties. DP 2239 B3XF is a mid-maturity Bollgard 3 Extend Flex variety with outstanding fiber quality potential for fiber length and improved micronair. It's widely adaptable across varying growing conditions and is very similar to one of its workhorse varieties, DP 1646 B2XF. The second variety is DP 2211 B3TXF. That's an early maturity variety with the Bollgard 3 Thrive On technology with Extend Flex. Now, it's not going to be available for commercial sale in 2022, pending final regulatory approvals for that Thrive On technology, but it will be available for planting through the Delta Pine Stewarded Groundbreakers field trials. So some top growers in the country will be able to get their hands on it and take a good look at it in their fields. Phytogen has released, or is going to be releasing, Phytogen 411 W3FE. That's a new broadly adapted high-yielding variety with a very broad area of adaptation. It carries the Phytogen breeding traits for bacterial blight resistance and for both root knot nematode and reniform nematode resistance. And there are two other varieties that were introduced late spring of last year. They'll also be available for growers in 2022. Phytogen 205 W3FE, that's an early maturity variety for the Texas Panhandle, Oklahoma market and parts of Kansas, and Phytogen 807 RF for the Pima market. Now, hot off the newswire comes word that John Deere and Field to Market, the Alliance for Sustainable Agriculture, just announced a pilot program that integrates sustainability metrics of Field to Market's Field Print platform into John Deere's Operations Center to help cotton growers more easily capture data necessary for some of these field level environmental analyses. This collaboration is going to allow growers to leverage their existing field, crop, and machine data to assess the environmental performance of their management practices across the Field Print platform's 8 sustainability metrics. This is going to create a new tool to help facilitate grower enrollment in the U.S. Cotton Trust Protocol. The initial pilot program showed that the Operations Center helped streamline the data collection process, leveraging existing field, crop, and machine data to pre-populate nearly 2/3 of the data needed to generate the Field Print platform's sustainability metrics for the Trust Protocol. Deere is now expanding efforts to assist more cotton producers interested in enrolling in the Trust Protocol. Next, we have word from Cotton Incorporated and analytics leader SAS about another collaboration to introduce advanced analytics and the ways it can strengthen the industry to cotton growers, ginners, and textile industries. Using Cotton Incorporated's industry access and SAS's agricultural technology expertise, this new alliance is going to offer data on crop production to help produce higher yields, and then ginning to help reduce downtime for cotton processing machinery. So for more information on any of these stories, please visit cottongrower.com. And finally, our thoughts and prayers for the families, communities, and states impacted by the recent December tornado. We've seen the photos of the devastation in Mayfield, Kentucky, and Edwardsville, Illinois, as well as severe damage across West Tennessee, Northeast Arkansas, and the Missouri Boot Heel. The farm buildings, grain storage bins, and even a cotton gin near Leachville, Arkansas. It's a sad way to end a year of excellent harvest and promise for 2022. And our thoughts and prayers, particularly this time of year, for all of the people impacted by those storms. Well, that's enough from me. And it's time to bring another voice into the studio as part of this episode's discussion on the status of crop inputs, and probably a little bit more than just that for the 2022 season. Joining me again is Jackie Pucci, my colleague and senior writer for Crop Life, Precision Ag Professional, and Agribusiness Global, all of which are sister publications to Cotton Grower. She's our internal go-to expert on ag chem and other crop inputs. So Jackie, welcome back to the Cotton Companion.
Thank you, Jim.
You know, there's been a lot of discussion across all of U.S. agriculture about possible product shortages, increased costs for inputs, both on the chemical and fertilizer side for 2022. Some concerns that are starting to be raised about the status of product labels. You've been tracking this for a while. So what's the story? What are you hearing from people within the industry?
Okay, so I was talking to, just people from all of the major manufacturers, some retailers, but for example, Phil Krieg from Syngenta was saying that he expects there to be about a 30% shortage of glyphosate and glufosinate in 2022. So he said he's been in the business since 1977, either in retail or Syngenta, and he's never seen chemicals being this short. I feel like I've heard that from a lot of people at this point, and just people are a little concerned about, just all the unknowns going into 2022. So Ryan Riddle from Atticus had said that he expects glufosinate definitely to be short, and that it's the same in some of the other categories like insecticides. He was saying bifenthrin and lambda are also going to be affected. What else? Paraquat for sure. Jim DeLisi, who is the chief at Fanwood Chemical, he tracks formulated imports, tech imports, all the different raw materials coming into the US. He's been doing this for a long time, and he always has some interesting details to share. So he had noted to me that all of the imports of insecticides, fungicides, and herbicides are up significantly over last year. So it wasn't exactly supporting these reports of shortages. He was, wondering about this. But what others have told me is that it's still not, even with all the imports being up, there's not enough to meet market demand. And last year, for instance, the carryover inventories were depleted. So this year, there's really nothing to draw from. And so there's definitely still going to be shortages. So Jim had also pointed out that the importer profiles had changed quite a bit, including for glyphosate, and showing that like Farmers Business Network has become a substantial direct importer of glyphosate and a lot of other products. So while there may be shortages in some of the traditional distribution channels, it could be caused by some of them being diverted to these new distribution systems. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Another person, I think it was Sam Knott from Atticus, said that he expects it to take 1 to 2 years for inventories, a supply situation to kind of get out of these holes that we're in right now.
In your discussions with Jim DeLisi and some of the others, of course, this is a time of year where growers are, we're finished in the fields. Growers are looking ahead to next year, what their crop mix is going to look like. We just finished the initial work on our cotton acreage survey for next year, and still trying to finalize those numbers, but there's no question cotton acreage is going to go up. So that's going to change a little bit of the product mix or the chemical mix in these acres. I know we all hear about the fertilizer prices that are just going, keep ratcheting up, which could have more impact on the corn market than some of the others. Is all of this crop mix for next year? How much impact is that having in terms of some of this product movement?
To be honest, I haven't heard too much about the different crops being part of that shortage, because it's spread across all of them, including to the specialty areas in California. And so that hasn't been a huge topic of our conversations, but I just wanted to add to that. It's not affecting all products. Like Nick Fassler from BSF, he's a director of technical services there, was saying that like group 15s have adequate supplies in the market. They can extend applications, so hopefully you don't have to come back and crop. If we can limit rescue treatments, there's going to be more product as a whole to go around, he said. He did say with the rapid expansion of Liberty Link, that there's a need for the strong residual to limit the number and the height of weeds at the time of application. So he was saying for post, you can use a group 15 on that. And he just said to just consider all cultural, chemical, practical solutions to minimize your weed pressure. Look at all the levers you have. Talk to your agronomist, talk to your retailer, pull all those solutions together so you can be successful. We don't want to create a situation in 2022 that we have to live with forever.
Well, and again, that raises the question of, if we're dealing with some product shortages or if we're limitations on the products, let's put it from that perspective of, we have one application and a rescue application might be a little iffy on that. What kind of impact are you hearing about? How's this going to impact some of the resistance management programs?
Yes, this was interesting. With Dr. Josie Hughey, she is from Wilbur Ellis. She's their branded technologies data manager. So she was worried about this, that it's a tunnel vision focus on all these shortages. And she doesn't want people to take this, what she called a hungry hippo approach. So just getting whatever you can and just, placing resistance management in the back seat. So don't just, don't forget about resistance management, and that, you really have to lean on your agronomist this year and lean on your retailer to just make sure that you don't lose track of those kinds of things. Have good open conversations, and don't just go on what you've done forever. Open up some new options.
Sure, that fit. I mean, you and I talked about this the other day a little bit. I sat in on a session with Peter Dotre at Texas A&M last week, more specifically from cotton perspective, obviously, and his input on this is regardless of what the supply looks like, and he believes the supply of cotton herbicides products will probably be okay, maybe with a few exceptions when you get into some of the residuals. But as he said, regardless of what you've got, he calls it his broken record strategy, because this is basically what he says every year, every season, what every week, I think weed specialist says going into it, the old start clean in the cotton market, he's a big fan of the yellow herbicides to at planting to keep to take that first knock of weeds down, and then follow that up with what he calls the white chemistry, the caprals, the cotorans, the direx that's used substantially in the cotton market. Basically a lot of good at plant herbicide options, and then start overlaying the soil residuals, and then come back at post with your branded products, regardless of the technology you're using. So, it's sort of like it's acknowledging that yeah, it's going to be an interesting year. And I think we've heard from other people that it's, regardless of what it looks like, it's not going to be business as usual,
Right.
In taking care of weed management, but that it's not a lost cause heading into this year. It's just a matter of careful planning and looking at what options you have to, that may help you gain some ground in some areas in terms of weed management.
Yeah, Josie Hughey had added might actually open up discussions on change with people that are not comfortable with change.
Right, definitely. I think one of the other things that has popped up here within the past week or so is this sort of the question over regulatory issues. I think we saw something last week. Chairman David Scott of the House Ag Committee and several other House Democrats have asked EPA to delay making potential herbicide registration revisions, including any more restrictions on dicamba, simply because of the high input costs that growers are facing this year. And, I think the rumor is pretty strong that EPA is wanting to take a look at those dicamba labels again, heading into 2022. That's causing a lot of heartburn out there among the industry at this point, because growers are booking seed based on the technology they want to use. They're lining up their product when they can get it. And now you have this possibility that maybe not, I'll be able to follow the plan that I was planning to follow.
Right. I mean, there's just so much uncertainty with not only supply, but pricing, people wanting to lock down the herbicide order as soon as possible, people putting in their forecasts and orders much earlier than normal. And as someone pointed out to me, it's not a Bayer problem, it's not a BSF problem, because, if someone's looking, they might be looking to other companies that they haven't in the past. So it just gets spread around that way, and that people will have, business coming in that they didn't see before in the past. So just trying to prepare for all of that.
Nobody likes uncertainty in this market, but I think we're going to have to live with it here for, the next month or so, next couple of months as things kind of work themselves out. I'll be heading down to the Beltwide Cotton Conferences in San Antonio the first week in January, and I'm sure there's going to be an awful lot of discussion there with the university researchers and the specialists and the consultants and everybody else, over what we can and can't do, or what we should and shouldn't do.
Yeah,
at this point. So
it'd be interesting.
This may be a topic we want to revisit again here in about 2 months.
Yes, much agreed.
So anyway, I think we'll wrap it up with that. And Jackie, thanks for joining me again today. We both know there's a whole lot more to this story than we know at this point before planning is going to begin next spring, or in the case of South Texas in February. So I certainly appreciate your time. Have a great holiday.
Thank you so much, Jim. You too.
Thank you. And that's it for this episode of the Cotton Companion podcast. A special thanks again to Jackie Pucci for joining me. And as always, to you, dear listeners, for joining in. If you like what you hear on the Cotton Companion, please be sure to spread the word and tell your farmer friends about this podcast. Here's where and how they can find us.
You can find the Cotton Companion in 3 easy ways. First, go to cottongrower.com/companion, or simply click the podcast tab at the top of the homepage. Second, subscribe to our channel on iTunes or wherever you find your podcasts these days. And 3, sign up for our weekly e-newsletter, the Cotton Grower e-News, that's delivered to your email inbox every Tuesday morning. You can do that by going to cottongrower.com/subscribe. Also, be sure to follow Cotton Grower on social media. We are at Cotton Grower Mag on Twitter. And on Facebook, you'll find us by searching for Cotton Grower Magazine.
This is the final episode of the Cotton Companion podcast for 2021, but we will be back on our regular twice-monthly schedule starting in mid-January. This podcast is produced by Tyler Hatch and Ken Henderson, our talented colleagues at World Headquarters for Meister Media Worldwide in lovely Willoughby, Ohio. My name's Jim Steadman, and I'll be back with you following the Beltwide Cotton Conferences with the next episode of the Cotton Companion. Until then, have a safe and joyous Christmas and a very happy New Year.
God made me a farmer. Yeah, he works and he works and he works and he works all day. God made a farmer.